The sinister magical fountain pen part. The writer, Dung, struggling with a creative block, moves into a haunted house once owned by a mysteriously vanished painter. At first, the eerie atmosphere fuels his imagination, but everything changes when he discovers an ancient pen with dark powers in the attic. This pen, rumored to grant the user unparalleled creative prowess, comes with a terrifying price. The sinister magical fountain pen part. The writer, chap 1. The story was about Dung, an ambitious writer who was currently struggling with a lack of inspiration and fatigue from writing. To seek new inspiration, he decided to live in the haunted house on the corner of the street that he had heard about for a long time. The previous owner was a very famous painter who had mysteriously disappeared without a trace. Neighbors told each other about strange sounds echoing from the house at night and faint lights from the attic windows. This piqued the writer's interest. The haunted house on the corner was shrouded in mystery and coldness, like a silent painting in the dark. The tall old house, with its peeling paint and shuttered windows, looked like a pair of enigmatic black eyes. When writer Dung stepped inside, the heavy and gloomy atmosphere enveloped every corner. The sound of his footsteps lightly on the floor made the house come alive in the harsh silence. The house seemed like the ghosts of the past were still lurking in every room, filled with dark and mysterious memories. Yet this made writer Dung feel an unimaginable thrill. The gloomy and mysterious atmosphere seeped from every corner, making his heart beat faster. For him, this excitement was not fear, but a thrilling sense of discovery, of new and unpredictable things. He looked around the room, feeling every small corner and every detail. The peeling paint on the walls, the shadows flickering in the corners, the faint silhouettes he could only imagine. All these things gave him a strange but irresistible feeling. Writer Dung knew that if he stayed here, he could explore colorful and rich stories. The inspiration for writing seemed to await him in every corner, and he could not wait to start writing new pages, filled with the wonderful experiences that this haunted house brought. On a dark night, the writer was about to go to bed when he heard a creaking sound from the attic. Curiosity pulled him up each step, his footsteps pressing deeply into the wooden floor. The gloomy and mysterious atmosphere rose, creating a sense of suspense. The light from the stairs met the flickering light in the attic. Every step was a step toward discovering the strange and unpredictable. The writer was ready to explore the secrets the attic might hide. Standing in the dark attic of the haunted house, Dung heard strange sounds coming from a corner. Moving gently, he felt curiosity spread through him as he approached the source of the sound. In the dark corner, he discovered an ancient wooden chest, adorned with intricate and mysterious patterns. When he opened the chest, the light gradually revealed an old book and a fountain pen lying in a small wooden box, with patterns that looked very strange and glittering. The writer's heart pounded harder as he looked at the fountain pen. Notes from the old book beside it reminded him of the pen's mysterious power. The pen could make the owner's dreams come true, but the owner needed to nourish it. Although feeling a strange excitement, there was also a sense of anxiety in the writer's heart. He grasped the pen, sensing the hidden power within, but also clearly understanding that nothing came for free, especially the implication behind nourishing the pen that the book mentioned. Excitement and fear arose in his heart as he pondered whether he was willing to pay the price for his dreams, yet he could not resist the allure of the imaginative power that the pen promised. Writer Dung suddenly remembered his glory days, the famous works that had made his name. He longed to return to that light, to the recognition and admiration of readers. To do so, he decided to use the magical fountain pen, hoping it would give him the power to create great works, enough to revive his writing career once more. When he pressed the pen, it flickered with a strange blue light and a mysterious vibration. Since the writer used the magical fountain pen, his life and art underwent a miraculous transformation. New and unique ideas began to flow in his mind like an endless stream. Every story, every character, and every scene became more vivid and rich than ever, stimulated by the limitless power of imagination. The writer Dung's new works were not just creations but deep expressions of soul and imagination. His stories awakened emotions and imagination in readers, drawing them into new and colorful worlds. The warm and enthusiastic reception from readers pushed his writing career further than ever. His works became hot topics of discussion, attracting attention from critics and readers worldwide. He became a literary icon, celebrated and admired not only for his talent but also for the magical power of the pen. An ancient pen with dark powers in the attic, rumored to grant the user unparalleled creative prowess, comes with a terrifying price. When the writer held this pen, a sound echoed in his head. "I need blood to write. the blood of an animal or someone you love. The Sinister Magical Fountain Pen, Part the Writer Chapter 2. However, with each success, the writer also felt growing anxiety and doubt in his heart. He realized that every achievement came at a cost, and his success was no exception. Gradually, he understood that happiness and success could not be measured by the sacrifice and suffering he had to endure to achieve them. And the price writer Dung had to pay began. One day, when he held the pen, a sound echoed in his head. The eerie voice said, "I need blood to write. The blood of an animal or someone you love." Strange changes gradually appeared in the functioning of the magical pen. Initially, it only needed enough ink to use, but now, as the writer's works became more famous, the pen demanded a higher price blood. The writer felt scared and confused by this change. Every time he held the pen, fear began to manifest in his mind, as he realized that to continue succeeding, he had to pay with the blood of those he loved. Even though he understood that success was not worth the price of blood, when he put down the pen, writer Dung could not think of any ideas to continue writing, and so, his spirit and emotions could not restrain the temptation of the imaginative power the pen provided. He faced a difficult decision between continuing his great career and preserving his integrity. Writer Dung stood before a tough decision. He wanted to continue maintaining his great writing career but did not want to sacrifice too much. Thus, he decided to use the blood of his pet to feed the magical fountain pen, maintaining his writing career. Initially, he felt pain in his heart when he had to do this, but the thought of success and continuing his career drove him to overcome it. He hoped this would be enough to satisfy the pen's greed. However, the pen's ambition knew no bounds. It demanded more and more blood, forcing the writer to find ways to collect it from different sources. Finally, when his pet had run dry of blood, the pen demanded the writer's own blood, making him face an unavoidable decision: to take blood from himself to nourish the pen's unending ambition. The writer realized that to sustain his career, he had to accept the terrifying truth about this fountain pen. The owner who wanted to use it had to pay with fresh blood. Not just any ordinary drop of blood, but the blood of the person or animal most beloved in their life. It was a pact with dark power, and only those who dared to confront it could use this pen. In pain, he cut a mark on his body, letting the blood flow to feed the pen's inescapable ambition. The first drops of blood fell with a cold, painful sensation, but the pain and guilt could not stop him. Seeing the pen continue to work, the writer felt a sense of excitement and hope. It was the hope of a bright future, of new successes, of great works. However, accompanying the joy was the pain of sacrifice. Each drop of blood was a part of himself, a part of his life and soul. But with that sacrifice, he hoped to achieve great works, the successes he desired. The pen demanded more and more, and the writer became increasingly gaunt and frail. His health declined and his body was covered with wounds inflicted by the pen. At this point, Dung felt the horror and despair of having to harm himself to sustain his career. He understood that the pen's greed would never stop and that it would continue to demand until there was nothing left to sacrifice. Gradually, as he felt his own loss, the writer realized that no success was worth the injury and sacrifice of oneself. He decided to abandon the greed and seek the true meaning of life elsewhere, outside the glitz of career and fame. He felt regret and was haunted by the price he had paid. Each drop of blood he had used to fuel the pen, each breath had turned into pain and fear. He realized that success was not worth it when paid for with himself and what he cherished. However, the writer realized that giving up the Sinister pen was not as easy as he had hoped. Its magical power was like gum stuck to a shoe, hard to remove. Every effort he made ended in failure, and the pen persisted in holding onto him. An ancient pen with dark powers and the attic rumored to grant the user unparalleled creative prowess comes with a terrifying price. When the writer held this pen, a sound echoed in his head: "I need blood to write. The blood of an animal or someone you love." The Sinister Magical Fountain Pen, Part the Writer Chapter 3. Not only did it strip away his control, but the pen also infiltrated the writer's mind, controlling his every thought and action. He became dependent on it, unable to freely decide and act according to his own will. The Sinister pen had robbed the writer of his autonomy, turning him into a strange and unpleasant version of himself. He became tense, irritable, and struggled to communicate. Gradually, people began to avoid him, and no one stayed by his side anymore. He was alone, immersed in loneliness and self-pity. The pen's control had ruined all his social relationships, turning him into a stranger to everyone. Each day, the feelings of loneliness and suffering deepened in the writer's mind. He felt trapped in an unwinnable battle with the pen's magical power, and no one could understand or share his feelings. One day, Dung walked past an ancient temple, where the warm sound of a bell resonated through the air. The sound seemed to wake him from his state of tension and worry. He stopped and looked at the peaceful scene. The dawn spreading over the lush green fields, the sunlight gently shining through the leaves. In that moment, he realized that life was not just about the dominance of the pen's magical power. The peace and tranquility of nature awakened his heart, sparking positive thoughts and fresh hope. Determined to move forward, the writer realized that the grand dream he had been pursuing was not worth everything he had lost. He recognized that greed had led him into suffering and despair. Finally, Dung made his final decision to return to the abandoned house and place the pen back where it belonged, in the dark wooden chest where it was discovered. The writer walked into the abandoned house, climbed up to the attic, and placed the pen back into the ancient wooden chest as a sign of liberation and a new beginning. The determination in his soul felt like a fresh breeze, bringing hope and faith in a new future where he could create works with his heart and mind, free from the bondage of dark magical power. But the pen did not want to be defeated so easily. It did not accept the writer's abandonment. When he tried to put it into the chest, the pen fiercely resisted, unexpectedly stabbing his hand with great force. The writer felt the pain spreading from his fingertips, but his strong willpower helped him push through. Before the pen could consume his soul, he managed to place it inside and quickly shut the lid. When the lid was firmly closed, a sense of relief spread through the writer's soul. He felt the weight lifting off him, as if he had been freed from a burden. This painful victory brought him pride and confidence in his ability. The writer looked back at the chest, feeling a sense of comfort and peace. It seemed that the pen's imposition had disappeared, and he could continue his writing journey without being hindered by dark magical power. This was an important step, a new milestone in his struggle with the obsession of the magical fountain pen. The writer walked down the stairs and out of the abandoned house. But a strange thing happened when he realized he could not leave. Despite his efforts, he was mysteriously drawn back into the house by a powerful force. In a panic, the writer realized that the magical pen was still in his pocket. It had created an illusion, making him think he had escaped. He picked it up and tried to throw it away, but before he could, the pen stabbed his hand again. A strong force began to pull him inside the pen. Desperation surged through him as he watched himself being absorbed into the magical pen. His last sight was the deep darkness of the pen before he vanished mysteriously. In just one stab, the pen had taken everything that was left of Dung, his soul. After the writer disappeared, the magical pen returned to its original position, lying quietly in the wooden chest, waiting for the next person to find it and fall into its inescapable magical trap. The mysterious story of the abandoned house and the magical pen continued to be an unsolved mystery, stirring curiosity and fear in those daring enough to venture inside. If it were you, would you dare to use this tempting but sinister magical pen?